Hi, and welcome to my mini series on making a journal. My name is Susan, and this is just the first video in a mini series that I will be posting to show you how I make my own junk journals. One of my favorite ways to make a junk journal, and actually it's one of the cheapest ways, is cardboard, which technically when you buy a hardback book, it is made with cardboard. I usually measure these out according to whatever size journal. I try to stay basic, usually somewhere around 9 inches by 6.5. Sometimes I go 7. Sometimes I go a little more. Depends on the paper I'm using. You will need 2 pieces of cardboard, the same size, because you'll need a front and a back. And then you will need a spine piece to hold this together, and it will be the same length. But I usually go about 2 inches. You can go less, you can go more, do whatever you want to do, be creative. Trimming it up is pretty important because you don't want it to look scraggly once you get either the paper or the fabric over it. So I just trim it up with my razor knife, which I think I need to change the blade in, LOL. Okay, we've got those together. Now it's time to cut the spine. Just measure it out according to whatever size you want. There's lots of ways to cut. There's lots of ways to measure. This is just the way I prefer. It's easier. I'm not someone who has a whole lot of money to buy all those fancy tools to cut with and all that energy to do math, so I just kind of wing it as I go. I've also used Amazon bubble mailers and the brown paper mailers to make junk journals. I've seen other artists do this, and I gave a try. I've even used gift bags, which was something I hadn't seen anybody do until I did it, and it's fun. It's not a huge journal, but it is a fun journal. I think I made about 3 of those. Okay, so once you've got everything cut and it's all kind of straight and somewhat neat, I like to use duct tape to hold this together, but I have been known to use clear packing tape. You could use masking tape. I don't recommend it. It doesn't stick very good, and you need something that you can trust. I prefer duct tape because it is strong and sturdy, and it doesn't have to be any particular color because nobody's going to see it. Unless you're going to go with something you can see through, which I wouldn't recommend because then you're going to see the cardboard, obviously. So we lay the duct tape down, which is super sticky and does not want to let go of my fingers. And you basically just lay it about midsection. You want to give yourself about 1/4 of an inch of space so that when you close the journal, it closes easily. If you get them right up against each other, it won't work. And then you just repeat it with the other half. I really enjoy doing this part. I don't know why. It's just kind of fun to see what you can create out of nothing. And we do use a lot of recycled items when we make our journals. And I do sell these. I have an Etsy store, and this part's fairly inexpensive. But the time and effort that we put into putting these together can be quite consuming, actually. And then I like to double. I like to put it on both sides. Give it some real good strength. You don't want it falling apart. If you do use clear packing tape, I recommend doing it more than once on each side because it's not near as strong as duct tape. Now see, we've got a journal starting. Not too hard, was it? Okay, I chose this fabric because it's a new journal that I'm making to sell. You can use about anything. If you're new at this and you're a little nervous, I would recommend maybe something with a pattern or something that doesn't show mistakes very well. And I like to use a hot glue gun, so anything like this, the glue will show through if you were to cover the whole thing. I'll go over that again in a few minutes when I get ready to hot glue it. But right now I'm measuring it. I like to put it both sides. You don't have to. It's just easier, I think. And then I leave myself maybe a ½ an inch to an inch of fabric on the top and the bottom because I will fold it over. It's kind of like no sewing with a hot glue gun, and you don't have to use a hot glue gun. I choose it because it's quicker. You can use fabric glue, you can use craft glue, whatever you prefer, whatever you have. And I'm sorry, I keep clearing my throat. My allergies are driving me nuts. And you don't have to use fabric. You can use paper, you can use tissue paper and Mod Podge it. There's so many things. I've tried a lot of different things. Fabric is one of my favorites because it's easy. And it looks really, really nice. So here I am adding some hot glue to the spine. Make sure it sticks real well. Make sure your fabric's not wrinkled. And then if it was a different fabric, I would probably go all the way across this piece of cardboard. But since it is this fabric that is a satin type polyester, you would see that through it. So I like to just go around the edges with it. And I'll be embellishing the front a lot, so, you know, if I had to, you probably wouldn't see it anyway. I'm going to flip it around and do the other side now. And you can take a light iron if you want to press this fabric once you get it on there. I've been known to do that, but a lot of times when you do this, you kind of straighten it out and the wrinkles come out of it. So keep that in mind. Me and this glue gun fight every day. The sticks fall out all the time. So folding it over, making sure it sticks well, and then on to the next step. We are going to hot glue the edges. Now you don't have to run one all the way across. You can start in the middle and work your way out. The glue can get cold quick. I have mine on an extra hot setting, so I'll probably burn my fingers a dozen times. And then I continue it on out. You have to be careful and make sure you get it fairly even, because when you fold this over, you want it to match up with the edges. You don't want a huge gap. And as I do this, you'll see what I'm talking about. Just glue it like a nice hem. Make sure that you line it up. I could measure all this, but I'm lazy, so I just kind of eyeball it. And then we're going to flip it around to the other side. If you notice to the left, I've already created a little hem, so when I fold this over, it'll be nice and neat, like hems on slacks or something like that, but made with hot glue. Press it down, make sure it's snug, make sure it's straight. You may hear my little dog in the background coughing. He's got collapsing trachea, so it makes him cough, so you may hear that occasionally. He's 14. He's my best friend. He always hangs out in here with me. And then there's 2 kittens I rescued running around here somewhere. I'm surprised they're not jumping on me yet. So make sure that when you fold this over, you line it up as best you can so that the edges are level and even, straight. And there's lots of ways to go back and fix something if you didn't get it perfect. I'm the queen of covering up mistakes. But as you pull it tight, it kind of takes those wrinkles out. But again, you can also take a cool iron, maybe put a towel over the fabric, and just kind of press out the wrinkles if you really, really want to. I'm lazy, again. Most of my wrinkles are coming out. And I'm going to embellish this, so it's going to be foo-fooed up, I like to call it. And then we're going to repeat with the other side. As soon as I get through picking all this glue off. I'll go back through when I'm done and get all the extra strings and the glue and the thread and fix anything I think didn't come out the way I would like it to come out. If I had $1 for every time I got burnt with a hot glue gun, I'd be a very rich woman. You'd think I'd learn. So yeah, just match up both ends best you can. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's lots of ways to hide things because we all, aren't perfect. We make mistakes. No big deal. And it is a junk journal, so nobody actually expects it to be perfect. Otherwise, it would be machine-purposed and manufactured. These are hand-created, so anything I think that is an error adds to the uniqueness of something. Now, where I've hot glued it into a hem, I'm going to sew that down. Just gives it a really nice, clean finish. I like to go through and just kind of clean up anything I missed or forgot. So yeah, here we go. One cover for a junk journal. Not looking too bad now, is it? So let's embellish it. Now, when it comes to me picking the cover, I never know what I'm going to do. I just kind of wing it. I usually will try to do whatever I think looks good. This was just a piece of fabric I had left over. I originally had thought about making it a pocket on the front, but then as I kind of went through this, I was like, no, I don't think I want to make it a pocket. So I just glue on whatever I think I want to see. I never know what I'm going to come up with. Just make sure your wrinkles are gone and you've got your edges good and glued down. Because, I mean, it will be handled quite a bit. So there's that. It's coming together. Now what do we want to do? Let's put a picture on it. Oh, and I found an extra piece of fabric. Let's use this fabric. I thought it was kind of a cool fabric. Again, it's a leftover piece. I think the majority of it's on another journal. You can probably find it in my Etsy store. Seriously, I'm just winging this as I go. I just lay stuff out, see what I like, and then it happens. Sometimes I surprise myself. And yes, I use clothespins. They're cheaper. Now, yeah, I think that looks pretty good on there. What do you guys think? Let's find the exact spot, hold it there, and glue her down. I normally use cardstock when I use pictures on the front. This was just a heavier type of printing paper out of cardstock. I recommend cardstock. It's a little heavier. And I wish I had distressed edges of this with some ink, but I forgot. So, yeah, it looks okay, I guess. Damn glue strings are everywhere. Make sure all your edges are down flat, otherwise they'll curl up as they're handled. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, I just feel like it needs something else. This is kind of a gothic theme, which is what I've pretty much leaned towards. Found this piece of lace that I have. I have all kinds of scraps. If you hit a lot of thrift stores, you can really find some inexpensive things. I hate gluing lace down, even with the hot glue gun or craft glue, because obviously it bleeds through and it's either all over you or it's all over the journal. So you have to be careful when you use lace, especially if you use it like a black lace. It will come through, and sometimes it shows up and it's a nightmare to get off. So keep that in mind when you're gluing on lace, especially with a hot glue gun. Okay, I still feel like it needs something. Gotta tuck all these edges in. Don't worry, I'll come up with something to hide that. Another thing hot glue and lace do is burn your fingers. Okay, let's take a look at that. That looks pretty good, but still needs something. Cording. Love using cording. Stuff's so expensive though. If you do this, be sure you line it up nice and straight. Get it glued down tight. Trim off your edges because they will fray. It's not a horrible thing if it does, because again, it adds to the character of the journal. Now you'll see me thinking, do I want to go down the side or do I want to just continue at the other end? Parts of me wanted to, but the other part of me said, let's cut it off. So I did. I should invest in some better scissors. So I'm going to run this across the bottom just like I did at the top. Hope everybody's having a good day. Tell me where you're from down in the comments below. I am in the northern part of Missouri. I was in Kansas, but we jumped the river and bought a house over here in Missouri. And this weather's just been crazy for January. It's 50s, and usually it's pretty dang cold about now. We have had some snow. Supposed to get some mixed precipitation tomorrow night, I believe, but you never know in the Midwest. It changes constantly. No one can predict it. Okay, so we got that on there. Looking good. I like that. Now, I still feel like it needs something. Still a little bleh for me. Let's add some lace. But we're going to do black lace. And we're going to do black lace on the edge of the front cover. So now you get to see me fight with the hot glue and the black lace. I bought this lace at Walmart and I really, really like it. I use it a lot. I just wish lace wasn't so expensive. Yeah, that turned out really nice. Let's get rid of the little glue strings. Yeah, that's looking really good. Okay, I think we shall move on. Now, where to put the clothespin? Nope, not there. Yeah, I guess we'll put it there.